Hello and welcome. My name is Aaron Gajewski, and I'm here to walk you through Dynatrace, the world's first third-generation software intelligence platform. Now, when we're talking about Dynatrace, an important thing to remember is that we're talking about full-stack monitoring. That means we're giving you insight into the infrastructure, into the network, into your services for code-level visibility, and even all the way out to your users on your front-end websites and mobile applications. The great thing about Dynatrace is that we've removed the need for you to manually configure baselines and thresholds and alerts. We've actually built in an artificial intelligence engine to essentially learn how your system is performing and then alert you when something deviates from that norm. Not only are we going to just alert you, but we're going to alert you with context. And I'll show you what that means here. So what you're looking at on the screen is a problem ticket that was opened by Dynatrace automatically when it detected that there was an issue. In this particular case, we're seeing user actions that are degrading in response time. So something on the front end like a click or a tap or a swipe is slowing down for our users. If I look below, I can immediately see that I had 2 applications that were affected in total, 15 different services in 3 infrastructure components. I can quickly see the business impact, so I can see how many users were actually impacted by this issue and how many different service calls. Now, not only am I showing you the number of impacted users, but I can actually click on that link, and what Dynatrace will do is build a list of those users that were actually affected, and I'm able to see metrics like where they were coming from in the world, how long on average they were spending in my sessions. And if I want to get even more insight, I can click on those individual users and see, what applications they've accessed, where they're coming from in the world, and what device types they may have used. I can even scroll down and see their individual user sessions and get more details about those sessions, like their desktop resolution, what browser they were using, or what ISP that they were using. If I scroll down, I can see the individual actions that they took on my website and the performance of those actions. If I jump back to the problem ticket, I can see the impact to my applications as a whole. So you'll see I had 2 applications here, easytravel.com and easytravelb2b.com, and this is telling me overall, how is my application impacted? Was it affecting any particular browsers or locations around the world? For example, if I had only users in Seattle on a Chrome browser, it would show that information here. I can actually jump into this application and be taken to what we call a performance analysis of that application. Now, the important thing to remember here is we're looking at this data in the context of this problem. So you'll see I have the problem ticket open on the top of that screen. And as I scroll down, you'll see areas that are highlighted to show you where the issues are actually happening in your application. So right here, I can see that my number of user actions has dropped during the course of this problem, and I can also see the duration of my user actions has increased significantly. Over to the right, I have synthetic monitors that are running from within Dynatrace to determine that, yes, there actually was an outage during the course of this problem. I can hop over here to user behavior, so I can see the number of active sessions that were happening during the course of that problem. I can see that there was clearly an issue there. And most importantly, I can click on my conversion trends and keep track of my conversion goals and how they were affected during this issue. Now, in my particular case, we're tracking how many successful bookings that we had on our travel website overall, and I can see that my number of conversions has dropped to 0. So immediately I'm able to understand the impact to the bottom line during the course of that issue. Now, it's really important because I want you to think about the types of goals that you'd like to track in your organization so you can be able to accurately answer that question when an issue comes out. How is my bottom line affected? Now, jumping back to the problem ticket, I'm going to go down to the bottom over here, and we have what's called our visual resolution path. Now, what you can see up at the top is we have our applications, and we have all the different services that make up those applications, all the way down to the infrastructure at the bottom. Now, if I hit this play button, what you're essentially seeing is how that problem evolved over time. Now, if I pause it here, you'll see that I have 107 ongoing events. Now, these range from TCP connectivity rates dropping to certain methods that were slowing down in response time, all the way down to the bottom to CPU saturation on a host. Now, the great thing is that Dynatrace knows that I have 107 different events ongoing right now, but because we understand your system and we understand all the dependencies of your applications, we know that all of these 107 things that are going on all relate up and roll up to the same problem. Now, with other traditional monitoring tools, you might get 107 different alerts, and then it's up to you to put the pieces together and try to figure out what happened. But that's where the beauty of Dynatrace comes in. And if I go back to the problem ticket, what that analysis that I'm talking about, we can see it here. We actually are analyzing all the dependencies of your applications and coming up with a root cause. So in this particular case, we have two hosts that are sitting at 100% CPU. We also have a custom service that's experiencing a response time degradation. Now, if I'm responsible for those hosts or for that custom service, I can use Dynatrace to actually dig into that service, for example, and see maybe what method or is causing that response time degradation. Or I can jump into the host and see, what's chewing up that CPU. But the important thing to remember is everybody else that's typically involved in a war room scenario can get back to doing what they are being paid to do, innovate for the company or working on other high priority tasks. So you might be wondering, how are we actually gathering this data? So I want to talk about deployment very quickly here so you can understand how we're actually doing this. If I go to my hamburger menu on the left and I scroll down to deploy Dynatrace, you'll be taken to the deployment screen, and Dynatrace works off of what we call the Dynatrace One agent. It's an agent that sits at the host level, and what it does from there is it automatically discovers all the processes that are running on that host and instruments them automatically. So with one install, you're getting infrastructure level metrics for that host, you're getting host level networking metrics, you're getting insight into the code, and you're also getting the real user monitoring, like I showed you earlier, being able to track user behavior and user performance. So no more worrying about different agent types, having a Java agent and a .NET agent and another agent for infrastructure. We've taken all that headache out of it, and you only have to worry about one install. So what's that install look like? If I hit start installation here, you're going to choose your platform. So whether it's Windows, Linux, AIX, or even a platform as a service, I'm going to choose Linux so you can just see what this looks like is 3 commands. You're grabbing the installer, you're verifying the signature, and you're running that installer. And from there, Dynatrace does all the rest. Now, this can be automated. It could be put in a chef cookbook, for example, so that you can automatically have Dynatrace deployed when you are deploying your infrastructure. Now, if I jump over to what we call our Smartscape, what this is once the agent's actually installed, Dynatrace is building a topology map. So if I search for, let's say, my web server here and I scroll in, what this allows me to do is to look at horizontal dependencies and vertical dependencies of my different services, processes, and hosts. So if I have my web server here, I can see what services are actually calling it, who it's calling out to, for example, this configuration service. And over on the left, I can see it from a vertical view. So I can see that this web server is hosted up by 2 Apache processes on 2 separate Windows hosts, all in an AWS data center. Now, at any point, if I want to get more info into those individual entities, I can click on that. It's all interactive and it's constantly being updated. And now I can see for this Windows host, for example, what's actually running on this host. And if I want to get infrastructure metrics for that host itself, I can click on this arrow here, and I'm taken to the screen to get your CPU, memory, NIC, and disk stats. Now, if you remember, this host was actually one of the ones affected by the problem earlier, so you'll see that Dynatrace is always keeping track of that and is highlighting different areas on the screen so you can see that. So here's the CPU saturation that we were talking about. Now, in addition to giving you your standard infrastructure metric stats, we're also keeping track of, here's all the processes that are running. We're looking at things like deployment changes, process restarts, even process crashes. So all of that information is being included in the analysis. Even further, we're keeping track of the host log files and process log files so we can define events and look for those trends inside the log files themselves. So to wrap up, jumping back to where we started, Dynatrace is giving you one place to drastically reduce the amount of people, process, and headaches involved with identifying, triaging, and resolving these issues. And the best part is we're doing this without the need for the heavy installation processes and the manual configuration and tweaking that's often necessary with so many tools on the market today. So with that, I hope you've enjoyed our quick walkthrough of the Dynatrace platform. There's a lot more that we didn't have a chance to cover, so stay tuned for future deep dive demos. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.